hang on. Can you speak softly, Deanna?
This is not the same paper. I don't know.
Hang on, hang on. Okay, okay, there we go. I found the right way for the volume. Okay. It's like opposite what you think it would be.
Nice. What are you doing here? Zach and you a lot.
Oh, hey, Max.
How is your subleasing?
I am subleasing. I don't want. It's not heavy. It's just it doesn't fit well in my ear.
Yeah.
So it does like just constantly fall out. But you know what?
2 minutes till grad.
does.
Good. Will I get a fee for violating public safety?
No.
Good.
Good evening, Catamounts. Welcome to the 2025 Student Government Association Platform Night. I'm Mara St. Marie, your host. As a reminder, we are simulcasting on 95.3 WWCU Dillsboro. Tonight, we will be talking to the presidential and vice presidential candidates for Student Government Association. Presidential candidates will have 10 minutes, and vice presidential candidates will have 8 minutes to discuss their platforms and plans for the next academic year. Our presidential candidates are Landon Orr, Grady Jones, and Zach Powell. We'll begin tonight with Landon Orr. Landon, welcome.
How's it going, Mara?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm just happy to be here, honestly.
We're happy to have you. So we'll just start off with, can you describe your platform and why you are running for president and how you plan to accomplish any goals you have?
So really our platform, or Sommer and mine's platform, can be boiled down into three tenets: public safety, cultural literacy, and not professional, but personal development. Public safety really is encapsulated by Sommer's role as an RA. You always have to be vigilant and watch over your students. And it's encapsulated by my role as president of the Police Community Advisory Committee Students Association. And basically, I work directly with the Chief of Police and Dr. Cindy Caravellis in the Criminal Justice major to ensure our policing is mindful of the political realities that face policing, and we use that to advance our discussions between law enforcement and the student body. Our second point connects with my role on the Intercultural Affairs Council. Cultural literacy is really broadly used In this instance, it means reconnecting with POTM and establishing and fostering a positive relationship between SGA and POTM and making sure that they are making full use of their collective bargaining. And then personal development really focuses on supporting RSOs, harnessing our currently existing core program, and increasing funding for it.
So what have you learned from your previous terms with SGA that you would like to take with you to apply to this position?
Yep. So currently I'm SGA Director of Core. It is a position I truly do love. I'm known as the RSO man or RSO guy. I really do have an obsession with RSOs. And so, I knew before I even held my position as Director of Core that RSOs were not getting the support they needed. And in truth, RSOs are really three different types of groups. You have club sports, your standard student organizations, and of course your Greek organizations. But we delegate authority of Greek organizations to Lindsay Jackaruso and then club sports to Josh Rascati in the CRW. So really what I want to do is bring a unified leadership approach, or our shared leadership model, and bring back core council, in which I will preside over it, and we will have key members of those three RSO types, including Josh and Lindsay, so that we can address the problems that face those groups. And then, of course, I was a senator before that, and really that's where a lot of my structural focuses in my platform are taking place. So, in my opinion, there's not enough clear lines of communication. No one really knows who they report to. There are chairs, but they're really inconsequential in my opinion, and I say that with complete respect, of course. So.
Well, how do you plan to lead and work with the rest of SGA to ensure effective team dynamics as the chief spokesperson on behalf of the student body?
Yep. So really, once again, going back to that point of clear lines of communication, there's a lot of structural gray area that Sommer and I hope to address. So I think the best way to do it is to bring people in, bring POTM in. I've had meetings with Matt Henley, and we have discussed how I believe he said that in his time that no one from SGA has ever scheduled a meeting one-on-one with him to talk about the problems. But anyway, bring in POTM. I also think we should expand our currently existing roles like committee chairs, allowing them to hold independent committee meetings if their committee determines it correct to do so. I do believe that we should, reinforce accountability and make sure our senators that are taking oaths, they actually follow through with them. And yes, many people say, well, those are unpaid positions. But if you take an oath, you are self-recognizing on your own will that you are going to make a commitment to this student body and to our university. So yeah, those are some of the ways that I hope to address that.
SGA strives to maintain clear communication when addressing issues of the student body. How do you plan to maintain transparency and build clear communication avenues between Student Government Association and the student body?
Yeah, so really it goes back to that point for me, as I am a director of CORE, really, once again, bringing people in. If people are curious about SGA, let them see what all that SGA deals with and advocates for. I fully realize that if I am elected president, if I'm honored enough, that, we will redefine SGA's focuses. So in doing so, I will be very pointed with core council, bring in those RSO leaders, and then through them and collaborating with them, it will filter down, no doubt, throughout their RSOs and various organizations. So.
In the role of being student body president, you also serve as an ex officio voting member of the WCU Board of Trustees. How do you plan to take your student voice and apply it to the board?
Well, I'm very pleased you asked that because, I don't think many students realize, well, first off, there's a level of unawareness. Students are busy, of course, and it's with respect that I say this. Students don't even realize that we have a student body president or an SGA. There's some seniors I spoke to. So, we need to first educate them on what SGA is, what it does, what the role of student body president is. It's not just a title, there are duties to it. And realize that there is a legal obligation for SGA to exist in the form of the president being a board of trustee member. So really, I think that's the ultimate, it's the pinnacle of our shared leadership model, honestly. Being able to take concerns from the student body and take them all the way up to the top. And so with that said, I'm trying to close up this.
Yeah.
Well, I knew I was going to have paper problems. So I want to obviously advocate for more resources to be allocated to RSOs. I want to address, infrastructural concerns by supporting the Coley revitalization endeavor. And, once again, emphasizing that shared leadership model. So that's pretty much it.
And the last question, how will you incorporate the student body's concerns as a whole and bring them to the board?
So, once again, I mean, it really is very simple. We need to really remember why SGA exists. It should be a conduit for all students to utilize, and especially freshmen, in connecting with the wider campus. So basically what I'm saying is that if a freshman joins SGA, not only will they be joining SGA, they will be gaining access to all those avenues, one of those avenues being the board of trustee member through the student body president. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much as simple as that. You should not be running for student body president if you're not going to listen to your most vulnerable or unconnected populations. So
Well, thank you so much, Landon.
of course, thank you.
So we are now going to transition to our next candidate, Grady Jones. Hi, welcome, Grady.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good.
So Grady, we'll just go ahead and get started. Can you describe your platform and why you're running for president, and how do you plan to achieve your goals?
So my platform is based on advocacy and community engagement. So with that, me and my running mate and our team are focused on expanding mental health resources, expanding financial literacy programs, and that support. We also want to strengthen the campus community and the WNC community, along with making SGA more transparent, more efficient, and more accountable. Some of the ways we would do that is through mental wellness programs that are done by CAPS. The Center for Domestic Peace could do some things. We also have various campus organizations who are willing and actively trying to make an impact on campus. So I think reaching out and, like, part of our platform is engaging the community with supporting each other is a big part of our campaign. I also would really love to see, like, maybe the College of Business or maybe some of the clubs in the College of Business with maybe some financial literacy trainings, maybe financial aid, reaching out to people and like, hey, like, we offering more programs to, like, kind of walk through what that looks like for students, because I feel like part of the problem isn't only that there's not enough support, but it's that there's not enough outreach to help students understand what that looks like and support them through learning to be adults. I also think that a big part for us is implementing tools and trainings that would help develop senators and other SGA members' leadership skills, and their ability to connect with the campus community, because that is a big part of SGA. I mean, we're built on advocacy. If you're not advocating for the student body, like, are you really achieving your mission?
Yeah. So what have you learned from your previous terms with SGA that you would take with you to apply to this position?
So serving as President Pro Tempore of the Student Senate this year, and as elections chair last year, I've noticed that there are a lot of students, while the previous administrations have done a great job, like, connecting with campus and their outreach programs, I think a lot of students still feel disconnected, because there are so many different bases to cover. However, when it comes to what I've taken from these administrations, like, reaching out to students and getting their input is the only way to be successful. Like, what is leadership without others' input? I also, sorry, I also would love to see like us do more than just like goal setting with student advocacy. Like I'd like to see actionable things, and making more of an attempt than just like tabling, or like there are other feedback loops.
Yeah. How do you plan to lead and work with the rest of SGA to ensure an effective team dynamic as the chief spokesperson for behalf of the student body?
So effective leadership is about empowering others, in my opinion. I think that a big part of SGA is developing somebody to, you know, kind of take your place next. Like, continuing to grow leadership skills and leadership qualities among the student body so they can advocate for each other and support each other is a key part of the organization. I also think through like a strong team dynamic would be how I would lead. I would love to encourage collaboration, teamwork, like I said previously, provide our members with like leadership development opportunities, training sessions, having resources readily available for them to reference so they don't necessarily need to go to a certain session or wait for a certain person to respond to them. They can take the initiative to do it themselves. So we're not relying on like a base structure of like, these people are getting paid to do this, they're the only ones who can, and then ensure open dialogue so there's accountability.
Yeah. So SGA strives to maintain clear communication when addressing issues of the student body. How do you plan to maintain transparency and build clear communication avenues between Student Government Association and the student body?
So transparency is essential in building trust, whether it's with friends, family, students, and their student government. I think that I think it's important for students to feel informed but also involved in SGA, whether that means they're a member of it or not. You still have an active role in it. So I think for me, one of the things I would love to see next year is like more of an open forum, and more frequent feedback sessions. So like Q&A sessions on maybe the Instagram, like round tables with different members of SGA who are working on different initiatives regularly, some of campus administration, the provost and the chancellor, they had their like little round table session thing during the hurricane to kind of like let people know like what was going on, like try to hold that like safety and security with the students, because they're like, hey guys, like we're reaching out to you. So I think more of that would be cool, and hopefully if I get the opportunity we could work on something like that. I also think that as we've been doing this year, our current director of marketing has done a great job with it, but utilizing the social media platforms are really important. Like our Instagram, like that is one of our best outlets. So I just want to ensure every student knows they have a part in shaping our campus.
Okay. And the last question, in the role of being student body president, you also serve as an ex officio voting member of the WCU Board of Trustees. How do you plan to take your student voice and apply it to the board?
So, as someone who's advocating for the rest of the student body, it's really important to keep in mind that like, I'm not just sharing their opinions, I'm reiterating them and like making an emphasis on them when we're making important decisions, because as an ex officio member, like I'm representing just under 12,000 people, I think is how many students we have roughly, and you have to cover all the bases. Like if you don't represent every part of the student body, even the underrepresented people, you're not really having those feedback sessions. I also think that a big part of it is advocacy for policies that'll benefit students, like making sure that we're not doing something that's going to work against what they want to see. Like I said, actively seeking input, strengthening relationships between the trustees and the students, or the administration and the students, because I think there's a lot of miscommunication of like what that looks like. But overall, by ensuring open communication and advocacy, I'll make sure that students have a stronger voice at WCU. One campus, one voice.
And how will you incorporate the student body's concerns as a whole and bring them to the board?
So when incorporating the student body's concerns, I kind of touched on it previously, but like having an emphasis on the outreach we're doing and the different ways we're receiving input and feedback, I would really love to see us expand that, because right now we have social media, we have the suggestions box, we table sometimes to have feedback, but some students don't go to those type of things. They're not going to take the effort to reach out, so you have to start going to them more. So like I said, I would approach it really just from an outreach and advocacy standpoint, and then just make sure I'm advocating what I'm hearing from the student body to the trustees.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Grady, for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You as well. So next we have Zach Powell. Hi, Zach. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, yeah.
So first, we'll start off with, can you describe your platform and why you're running for president and how you plan to accomplish your goals?
For sure, yeah. Well, first I'd like to thank WeTV for hosting, and thanks to all the candidates for being here tonight. My campaign for student body is focused in 5 areas. Advocacy, community service, civic engagement, RSO support, and building and strengthening our student government. So recent changes of federal and UNC system policies have left Latinx and trans students here on campus feeling hurt and fearful for what may come next. And so my administration would work to establish a network of information and resources for these students to be distributed through the ICA office, as well as through relevant student organizations such as the Trans Student Union and the LASSO. I support introducing credit-bearing courses for university participant students. We have one of the best inclusive post-secondary education programs here on Western, and we've paved the way for a lot of programs like ours across the state. But still, our UP students are unable to receive academic credit for the hard work that they do. This is a proposal that I'm already working on, but if elected student body president, it will have the full weight of the student government behind it. It's also important to me that we do everything that we can to support student employees. That includes advocating for an increase in the minimum wage for non-work study students. I authored a resolution last year that encouraged the university to do just that, and I'm proud to report that that resolution has evolved into a larger conversation at the Association of Student Governments. I'll also work with the Center for Community Engagement Service Learning to coordinate community service and civic engagements events on campus, as well as continuing to help our RSOs by providing training and making sure that they are aware of all the avenues for funding, whether that be at the SGA or ASG level.
So what have you learned from your previous terms with SGA that you would like to take with you and apply to this position?
Yeah, so since joining SGA in the fall of 2023, I've served as a senator, I've served as clerk of the Senate, and I've served now as the campus liaison to the Association of Student Governments. Serving in 2 branches has provided me with valuable insight into how the administration and the organization interact, which will be incredibly beneficial when trying to implement some of my bigger reforms, like getting credit-bearing courses for UP students. Also gained valuable experience networking with student leaders across the state as campus liaison for ASG. We work to develop proposals that are intended to benefit all 17 of our UNC institutions. And I think the most important thing that I've learned, not just from SGA, but from other leadership positions that I've held on campus, is that the way to be a good advocate is to show up for your community, listen to the concerns and interests of students, and then present those concerns and interests to the authority figure, in that case, the administration and board of trustees. So if I'm president, SGA will work hard to identify community needs and use all the tools at our disposal to address those needs.
How do you plan to lead and work with the rest of SGA to ensure an effective team dynamic as the chief spokesperson on behalf of the student body?
Sure, so as you know, the student body president, they lead the executive cabinet as well as SGA as a whole. I certainly have my own ideas about initiatives and projects that I think SGA should be pursuing. That's why I'm running for president. But I also believe that the president has a role as a facilitator within the organization. That means it would be my job to ensure that the organization is operating efficiently so that students have an orderly forum through which to pursue their own initiatives. We will also work to improve communication and cooperation within the individual branches of student government, bringing the executive branch, legislative branch, and judicial branch together to talk about ways we can better advocate for students. Similarly to the way that we did last semester with our Claws Out event. You'll see more events like that happening. We'll require more partnership between the Senate committees and their respective executive counterparts. So you'll see the Senate DEI committee working with the director of DEI and the executive more often. Seth and I also believe that we should require senators to provide a brief monthly update to the Senate. The report would just be an update on projects and initiatives that the senators are working on. This is something that's currently required of all the executive cabinet members, and we just hope that it would increase transparency and hopefully encourage senators to be a little more invested in their projects.
Yeah. SGA strives to maintain clear communication when addressing the issues of the student body. How do you plan to maintain transparency and build clear communication avenues between Student Government Association and the student body?
Sure, yes. So as I just mentioned, we believe that requiring senators to provide a brief update on their activities will work to increase transparency. We also believe that we could be doing more as an organization to advertise the fact that we have public meetings every week on Mondays at 6 p.m. They're usually in the same place. So I would, work with my director of marketing and PR to create some promotional materials, ensuring that students know where and when they can find us. The one thing I'm really interested in as a communications minor is potentially working more closely with campus media like WeTV, the Western Carolinian, and our state-of-the-art radio station here on campus. We have plenty of talented student journalists who are always looking for news and events to cover, and it would just be a mutually beneficial relationship because, the communication students are getting good experience, and the SGA we're able to communicate our news and updates to students more effectively.
Yeah. In the role of being the student body president, you would also serve as an ex officio voting member of the WCU Board of Trustees. How do you plan to take your student voice and apply it to the board?
Absolutely, yeah. So as I mentioned in my opening statement, advocating for vulnerable communities is at the heart of my campaign. I'm committed to ensuring that Western is a place where anybody can come and acquire an affordable and quality education, regardless of your race, income, disability, gender identity, or sexual orientation. I believe that some members of SGA have the attitude that we should remain neutral and not speak out on political topics, and I certainly agree that SGA should not be a forum where partisan bickering is normalized. However, I also realize that there are political decisions being made in the Board of Governors, in the state legislature, and in the federal government that affect our students and have the capacity to harm certain student groups. And so these student populations will have a voice on the Board of Trustees if I'm elected president. I'm committed to maintaining the positive relationship between SGA and the Board of Trustees that's been cultivated by presidents in past, but I won't remain silent when the rights and freedoms of certain student groups are being threatened. We can't step back from our commitment to students, especially those who are marginalized.
Finally, how will you incorporate the student body's concerns as a whole to bring to the board?
Sure, like I said, the focus of my platform was vulnerable communities on campus, but students as a whole deserve to have their voices heard, and we will create more spaces, more like town hall style events, open forums where students can come express their concerns, and then we'll take those to the Board of Trustees.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Zach.
Yeah.
You have a great night.
Thank you.
As a reminder, we are simulcasting live on 95.3 WWCU. Thank you so much to all of our presidential candidates for coming. We are now going to be going to our vice presidential candidates. We have Sommer Allen, Karina Rodriguez, and Seth Doy. We'll begin with Sommer Allen, who is running with Landon Orr. Hi, Sommer.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sommer Allen, you are running with Landon Orr.
Yes.
Would you mind describing why you're running for vice president and your platform and how you plan to accomplish your goals?
So for me, I want to see more underrepresented groups represented in the Senate and in SGA as a whole. And I plan to advocate for them in the form of forming committees, such as the Student Veterans Committee, the Student Worker Rights Committee, the Professional Development Committee, Greek Life Committee, and a committee of athletic boards. I plan to bring down the total number of required senators from 50 to 30 so that we're able to meet quorum faster and as a result be more efficient and productive in our meetings, giving back time to the senators.
What have you learned from your previous terms with SGA that you would like to take with you to apply to this position?
So I've only been in the Senate for about a year, but I am parliamentarian. As parliamentarian, I get to sit next to our current Vice President, Jared, and I get to ask him any questions that I may have. And as well, I also have experience writing resolutions. And I plan to use this knowledge to help host resolution writing workshops. That way I can make resolution writing less intimidating and hopefully inspire others to want to make a change as well.
In the role of being the student body vice president, your job is taking the goals and expectations of the student senate and bringing them to a reality. How do you plan to implement this position?
So it honestly comes down to transparency and open communication. I'm willing to work with senators one-on-one because I recognize that not everyone feels comfortable voicing their opinions in front of a group of people. And I'm willing to help them figure out the best way to accomplish their goals, whether that be having them write legislation by themselves or pairing them with somebody who might have similar ideas that they may have that they didn't know. And so they can brainstorm together and come up with successful solutions together.
From your experience, what legislation needs to be created in the next term from student senators to address student body concerns?
So attendance sometimes can or cannot be an issue. So I plan to meet with students who miss meetings one-on-one. That way we can discuss how they can successfully fulfill their roles as a senator. And we want to ensure that all students in the Senate and SGA as a whole have the resources, network, and opportunities that they need to thrive on campus and off campus when they graduate from university as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here, Summer.
Thank you for having me.
And you're just going to go that way. So next we have Karina Rodriguez, who is running with Grady. Hi, Karina.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
So I'm just going to start with if you could explain why you're running for vice president, your platform, and how you plan to accomplish your goals.
Yeah, so I decided to run for student body vice president because we really want to focus on increasing student engagement. Also, SGA is an organization built on student advocacy, so we think that's really important, and also the overall well-being of the student body. One of our main focuses, me and Grady, we believe really strongly in this, is increasing student engagement and also to supporting student organizations more. I would love to see a community where I see students supporting students. We have POTM, which is our largest student organization. They do end-of-year shows and, recitals all year long. And I would love to see the stands, filled up. I would also love to see, games and stuff for athletics. I would love to see those stands filled up as well. And I think it would just create an awesome environment if we just see more student support within each other. I think that's awesome. And then we also want to create open channels for feedback. We think that student feedback is one of the most important things. We want to hear student ideas and see ways that they think that Western can improve, and we want to help find ways also to cater to those needs. And then also too, we want to focus on key issues. The world's constantly changing, so with that, our education and just the environment's constantly changing. So we'd love to be an organization that can support the students in that way and help address those issues going on. And we also want to focus on mental health. I think mental health is very important. With my role as Director of Health and Wellness, I've got some really good experience, and I've got to see some good insight on how the Health and Wellness unit works. Mm-hmm. So we think that's a very big priority.
What have you learned from your previous terms with SGA that you would like to take with you and apply to this position?
Yeah, so I currently serve as the Director of Health and Wellness for SGA. And with that, I have had such amazing opportunities. That's one thing that I'm really thankful for this administration that I'm a part of. I feel very supported, and I can look to the cabinet, and I have so many resources and so many people available to help me, which is awesome. I think the main thing that I've learned is to slow down and listen to the needs that people have. I think we saw that firsthand with the hurricane, how easy it can be for our lives to be disrupted. It's very easy to come into a position like this and, have everything that you want to do and have that all set out and only focus on that, and I think we need to be able to adapt to change super quickly. So, for example, I had a lot of things planned out that I wanted to do as Director of Health and Wellness and a lot of events I wanted to host. But with the hurricane and with everything that happened, I found out that one of the most immediate needs that our student body needed was to feel supported. So I had the opportunity to do a tabling event where students got the opportunity to write letters and everything to members of the community who had been affected by the hurricane. And it was so awesome to see different organizations stopping by and different people on campus, and some people would sign their organization name. I know a lot of Greek Life did that. That was really awesome. And so it was really cool to see students supporting the community in that way. And in turn too, I got to see how the community felt supported with that. I had a couple people stop by and they were like, this is awesome. I've been affected so deeply by this hurricane. And, it's awesome to see the support that Western still sees them. We're still here for them. So that was really awesome. But after that, too, overall, the atmosphere was that students were stressed out. That was a very big thing. And so with that, I had to adapt and, create an event to help students de-stress. So I've got to do some amazing things as Director of Health and Wellness. And yeah, I hope to continue that if I get elected as VP.
Yeah. So from your experience, what legislation needs to be created in the next term from student senators to address student body concerns?
Yeah, so I feel really honored with the Senate that we have right now. I think it's full of amazing student leaders. I think it is such a privilege to have the Senate members that we do now. It's really awesome to see when they come up with all these ideas. I think one of the main concerns is student safety. I think that's a very big issue. Me being an education major myself, I know that students can't learn if they are constantly worried about their safety. And, for some cases, especially freshmen, I know me being out of state, I came here and I was like, oh, I feel kind of alone. It's a new feeling. It's a new experience. So I think safety is definitely a big thing that we would want to work on writing legislation towards. Also, to mental health. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and I would love to see some senators writing legislation towards that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming, Karina.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And next we have Seth Doy, who is running with Zach Powell. Hi, Seth.
Hey, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. So, if you don't mind, could you describe why you're running for vice president, your platform, and how you plan to accomplish your goals?
Yeah, of course. Before I begin, I just want to thank WeTV. I want to thank Karina and Sommer for coming here to talk about their goals for the office that we're all trying to get to. My biggest platform as the student body vice president, if elected, is to advocate with Zach for our UP students, our first year students, our LGBTQ students. That is our role, is to represent them as a body. One of my favorite things about Western is how diverse it is. And we carry a big responsibility to represent all those students, regardless of how they got here or what they're doing once they do get here. Western is a really, really cool place with a lot to offer and a lot of different organizations that can give us a lot of different perspectives to push projects that we're interested in and projects that they're interested in, to make all students feel more comfortable on campus. I definitely want to focus on running service projects through our Senate so that we get out into the community a little bit more, so that our students see us and they know that they're there, that we are there to help them, and that we are there to serve whatever issues that they need.
What have you learned from your previous terms with SGA that you would like to take with you and apply to this position?
Yes, so I'm actually not a member of the Student Senate and haven't been as involved. I was confirmed as an Associate Justice in our judicial branch. So I've been at Western. This is my second semester. I've been involved in SGA for my second semester now as a member of the appeals court for traffic tickets. And through that, we advocate for students directly. They come to us to appeal a traffic ticket, and we get to interact with them directly on what their concerns are, what their lives are like, what they're dealing with. And then my team and my fellow justices and our Chief Justice Alyssa get to dialogue with each other. We get to talk about issues that are relevant, that are real, that are happening to our students on campus, from freshmen to seniors to residents and commuters, athletes, musicians, first-gen students, people who have been in college for a long time, have family in college, were legacies at Western, our LGBTQ students, and we treat them all with the same level of respect and love as fellow Catamounts, right? Regardless of the circumstances in which they're coming to us for help. Our team directly, we trust each other to make ethical decisions that have real-world implications, that have financial implications for our students. And I want to bring that to our Senate. I want to bring that level of teamwork and commitment to each other that we have in the judicial branch, because there isn't a whole lot of interaction between judicial and the Senate and the exec. I like leading teams. I like being a part of that team mentality, and I want the Senate to be able to feel like we are all in it together and we're working together to achieve the same goal.
In the role of being the student body vice president, your job is taking the goals and expectations from Student Senate and bringing them to a reality. How do you plan to implement this in your position?
So similar to my role as a justice, right, working in a small group with people that I really care about, I want to do that with our senators. They're there for a reason. They have goals that they want to accomplish. I have goals that I want to accomplish too, like making SGA a more active member of the Western community. I want to secure on-campus, and Zach has talked about this too, I want to secure on-campus polling for federal and state elections. I want our senators to feel comfortable and to be encouraged to voice their opinions to me, to Zach if he gets elected, to the rest of exec, and not feel like we're the ones in charge. We are just vessels to achieve their goals, that are for whatever part of the campus community that they're involved in. And I want to treat those ideas with the same amount of precision and care that we do every parking ticket that comes to us for an appeal. I really want to hone in on the use of Senate committees, bringing executive cabinet members and our senators together, working really closely and checking in with them pretty frequently so they can work collaboratively with quality procedural training, those monthly check-ins with senators. I want them to feel like I know what's going on with them and they know what my expectations are and they're clear. But at the end of the day, my goal is to uplift them and support them and then make those necessary changes.
From your experience, what legislation needs to be created in the next term from student senators to address student body concerns?
So my biggest thing is because I haven't been a member of Senate, my role now is not actively passing legislation. So I want our senators to come to me and see that as my greatest strength, that their next term and the Senate's next term will not be my last term in office with SGA in any capacity, whether as a justice now, hopefully if I get elected as VP the next coming academic year. So my long-term presence in the executive will ensure that trust that I want to foster between our SGA and the community here at Western on campus and in Western as a region is continuously built, even as our current SGAs, people graduate and move on. There are big projects that I don't want to get dismissed because of time restraints. I don't want my senators to come up to me and say, I have this fantastic idea, but I don't think it can get done in my term, and so we're not even going to try. I know my running mate, Zach, has pushed really heavily over his tenure at SGA and as a member of exec to raise the minimum wage for our student workers, and I don't want to drop that moving into our next term. I'm here till 2028. I want to see that through until it's done and we can get it done. With me leading the Senate. I want to continue to push for the changes that matter to our students over the next couple of years. I think it's important to remember that SGA, we're not a strictly political organization, but student government can be inherently political. There are real world implications of federal decisions. When we meet at ASG and we talk about what's going on with the UNC system, those are real, those affect our students, and it's our responsibility to represent them and advocate for them. So I want to support the ideas and the efforts of my senators to the best of my ability, and of exec, and obviously of Zach if he gets elected. And I want to place a big emphasis on protecting the diversity, equity, and inclusion of our students here at Western, especially in the wake of current events.
Well, thank you so much, Seth.
Thank you.
And thank you to our candidates for coming tonight. As a reminder, Student Government Association elections open February 7th and close February 19th. Thank you for watching and have a great night.